Good morning, or good afternoon, I guess. I thought the great way to start this presentation off today from my perspective, and I have a very unique perspective in that, as John mentioned, right now I run one of the largest wholesale distribution companies in the U.S. and also one of the top 10 publishers in the U.S. I come from a national distributor background, having been at Comag in the U.S., CMG in the U.S., and actually put the joint venture together between Hearst and Condé Nast. So I've kind of walked down many roads over the last number of years, so I think my perspective is somewhat different. And I thought it would be great to start off with a quote out of the book, Changing Ahead of the Curve. It goes, many companies wait too long to attempt to transform. Many companies wait too long to attempt transformations, doing so only when the signs of trouble have become obvious. High performers, by contrast, change before they must, knowing that the best way to transform is from a position of strength. Great quote, but I'm not really sure if it works in today's world. The problem I think we have in the business is to John's point, we've got a lot of conflicting segments of the business, and I can see that with my publisher hat on and my wholesale distributor hat on as I notice internal conflicts that we have within our own groups, ones that are generally easily resolved, but it's a little tougher when you're outside of that kind of familiar environment. In my perspective, we need to find a way to take all of the redundant costs out of the channel, as many as we possibly can. And again, looking at my business now today, it's coming from someone who's a wholesaler or a publisher and also an international distributor. So if you would allow me to take a couple minutes, I'm going to kind of talk about our bifurcated company. We are a media company as well as a distribution company. So Source Interlink Media on the publishing side has 75 titles. To John's point, very enthusiast-oriented. Two specific segments, the Action Sports Group and the Automotive Group. And the great thing about enthusiasts is they're very passionate about what they do and how they do it, and they can't get enough of the content. We have over 100 websites. 60 of our brands are already on tablets and smartphones, and we're up in about 50 apps right now. And we're also one of the 100 YouTube channels, and we right now are averaging about 4 million views per week. And for the last 8 out of the last 10 weeks, we've ranked number 2 out of the 100, behind only Warner Music. Media represents about 40% of our total revenue, so a very important part of our corporate environment. But I think you're probably a little bit more interested in what's going on the distribution side of our business. As John mentioned, we are one of the larger. When you're looking at the U.S. only, we represent about 30% of the U.S. business. The News Group, when you take their Canadian operations and their U.S. operations, are larger than we are across North America, but still a significant piece of the business. And to John's point, it was only in the mid-90s there were over 350 wholesale distributors, and now it's down to 4 or 5. I would add a couple more in there, but that are anything above 10% is somewhat of a solvent company, I would think. I'm going to give you a few factoids that I thought might be kind of interesting. We support a logistical network out of our 3 major distribution centers of 38 depots servicing 30,000 accounts across the U.S. And here's just a couple points of reference. 1 million square feet of warehouse space, 350 trucks and tractor trailers that are distributing product every week. We consume over 1.5 million gallons of fuel every year. We have 4,200 merchandisers. And here's kind of a sad part of the business. We currently recycle 138 million pounds of waste in an average year. Our merchandisers at the point of purchase spend over 150,000 hours at the point of sale moving product around. So as you can see, a very, very, very high cost, high fixed cost business. One that is dramatically impacted by the decline in sales across the business. So one of the things that our folks have been very, very good at, starting before I got there, I've been there going on 2 years and 6 months now, is that's taking costs out of the business. But we're at the point in our cycle where we can't take a lot more cost out without it having a negative impact on the sales of the product, which is not good. One of the other things that John kind of mentioned was over the last 4 years, sales have declined 25%. But when you look at the last 6 months, so the first 6 months of this year versus the prior year, there was another 10% fall off. So you have to look and say, where is this all going and where is it going to end? So our vision is one of transformation. We legitimately believe that when you have a logistical company that's covering the amount of miles and the fact that we are distributing magazines in 48 states across the country, and that we have 3 major distribution centers supported by 38 depots, there are other types of product that we can merchandise. And that is what I believe will be the salvation of the distribution side of the business. We have product that's not that unique, but it's very, very timely. Our weeklies and our monthlies and our quarterlies obviously have a spoilage factor that's tied to it. We're used to getting product into the warehouse and getting it out into the point of sale, as quickly and efficiently and effectively as we possibly can. There are many other products in our business that probably would generate significantly higher profit margins that need to be layered into this channel, as well as the fact that we've got merchandisers in 4,200 merchandisers in 15,000 accounts that we're servicing multiple times over every week. So you just take a look at the traditional magazine wholesaler moving magazines and books. We talk about new products, and new products, again, will be the salvation. Electronic cigarettes is one of the big things that's hitting in the U.S. right now. We also have other products like Skull Candy headphones. We have a number of licensed products we're looking to bring to the point of sale, again, at significantly higher margins. And there's a number of other products, from bottled water to energy drinks, that can go through our distribution center as easily as magazines or books. Another piece of what we believe will be tomorrow is the merchandising services. Our people are in those stores, and packaged goods companies are paying a considerable amount of money to be able to have their product merchandised. One thing retailers in the U.S. don't want to do is waste a lot of expense on moving product out of their back room and up to the front rack. So there's always room out there for additional services on the merchandising services side, and it generally runs somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 30% on the margin side. So considerably better than where a traditional magazine wholesaler has been for the last probably 10 years or so. Another component here is creating integrated marketing opportunities across the product lines that we represent in our magazines, getting the consumer to touch the product that's actually in those books. It's just another kind of form of the merchandising services piece of the business. And then we have another very important component of our business is the manufacturing. Where we somewhat differ, we differ considerably from the other wholesalers in the U.S., is we're a multifaceted business. We're not only a domestic distributor and an international distributor, we're a distributor of specialty products to specialty stores. We do merchandising services, and we do manufacturing as well. So one of the things that our team has been working on for the last almost 18 months now is a step up in the merchandising of the checkout fixture, which is very, very prevalent in the U.S. It's the last place that the consumer goes as they're getting ready to leave the store. The racks that have been there for years are fairly tired, and our folks have been working on, with our tech people out of California, on what we view will be one of the first versions of a smart rack in the U.S. We've just put a series of prototypes into 2 regional chains, one in Pittsburgh and one in upstate New York, where we've got accented lighting. You can somewhat see it here. I'm not sure how well it shows up on the screen, but I can tell you it gives a very dynamic presence to our product at the front end. We think this is going to be a big step in the right direction. We really need to find a way of doing a better job of incorporating our products and making it more exciting at the point of sale, or you're going to continue to see a significant decline in the product. So I thought I'd end up with a quote here. Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past and present are certainly to miss the future. And I can't say enough about that as it relates to our business. It is continuing to change, and we as a group, whether it's across that channel from publisher to national distributor to wholesale distributor to retailer, have got to find a better way to run their business. So with that said, I'm going to leave you with this last little tidbit that I stumbled across a couple of days ago when I was getting ready for this. Magazines should be no more threatened by the iPod than stairs by the elevator, but we must be more creative. Thank you.